Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 231 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news, as well as we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my fellow Veilguards.
Oh, my name is Craig. Have not quite taken down the Halloween decorations.
My name is also Craig. My entire upstairs is Christmas Wonderland right now. All my Halloween decorations were taken down on the 1st.
I guess we can call this, somebody call Zach Galifianakis because we're in between two holidays. There.
Well done. Well done.
I don't know how to follow that.
You know what isn't between two holidays right now, Barry?
What? The news?
The news.
The news.
All right, there we go.
Always right on schedule.
The news never gets stuck or is in between anything. It always starts off.
It.
So this week is actually surprisingly a decent amount of stuff. I'll kind of go over some of the smaller ones really quick, and then I'll get into the main one. We're getting a remaster of Xenoblade Chronicles X coming March 2025. Kind of a weird date considering that's when a lot of people are expecting the Switch 2 to come out.
Mm-hmm.
See. To no surprise to anyone, Sony shut down Firewalk Studios, the game that made Concord. The announcement was made official this week. So,
woo!
It stinks, but I don't know. That it's sad that we have to be numb to this.
Yep.
That's what it feels like.
Right.
Free this month with your PlayStation Plus subscription is Death Note Among Us clone called Death Note Killer Within. You guys watch the trailer for this?
No.
I didn't see the trailer for that. Is it like Death Note?
It is a Death Note branded game where you play between two parties. There is a party of Yagamis, like followers who support the Death Note and things like that. And then there is a portion, and then lights.
Or
like
L's.
L's, yeah. L's side of the stuff is trying to figure out who has the Death Note. That is the whole cat and mouse of the game, the Among Us, if you will. Oh God, he's buying it right now.
No.
It's free, you said?
It's free. Yeah, it is free.
I'll still buy it. I'll find a way to buy it.
Look, you just have to let me know how it is. I'm not into to Among Us games really, and that game I thought the trailer was kind of weird. And talk about a surprise drop because it's available for people waiting.
Yeah, I just need friends who want to play that. I don't know.
I don't like Among Us, and I've never watched Death Note, so I think I'm out on that one.
I can see why. We then have Black Ops 6 player count goes up 60% this week. The highest 3 days of concurrent player counts, probably due to the fact that it is now included in Game Pass Plus, or Ultimate, sorry. So people are now trying it. This makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
Two things before I get into my bigger piece of news. Nintendo surprise releases a music app that you just need the Nintendo online service for. Very bare bones right now, but it's not bad.
Okay.
Look out. They're going to come for all your any YouTube videos with Nintendo music now.
Yeah, that does feel like that is what it'll be.
I didn't check it out yet. What's on there?
You have so I was looking for classic Pokemon songs that unfortunately is not in there. It has Scarlet and Violet, but it has Zelda songs, it has Splatoon songs, all of a lot of first party, and it'll only take me a second actually to bring up what is on here. But to follow up with that, the previous Nintendo Switch exclusive Triangle Strategy is available in VR.
Why?
Take a look at the trailer. It's interesting. I can't.
Okay.
I'm.
Is it on Oculus or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's available on Oculus through pass-through, so you have to connect your.
Okay.
Have to connect the headset to it. Oh, come on!
That's an interesting strategy, if I could be so bold.
Oh my God.
You suck.
All right, we'll see you all next week.
Yep, yeah. I think I have to end it there. But then the bigger piece of news, and I'll get into some of the music for whenever this. I can't believe the app just isn't loading. Of course, like the one time I'm ready to actually get into it.
Okay, but why do you need to play this in VR?
We have Mario Kart. I don't know why you play it in VR. I'm going to be completely honest. I just thought it was an odd choice.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
It is.
You have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. There's Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. There's Animal Crossing. There's Mario Kart Music,
Hmm.
Splatoon 3, Super Mario Odyssey, Kirby, Pikmin 4, Star Fox 64. Like
Oh,
they're a decent amount of classic stuff, and like they have like a hits, like their top music ones, which just includes a bunch of different like Nintendogs. The
Okay.
bathing song is on there. Like
Okay.
there are some very deep cuts on here if you're looking for it. But I need the original gold and silver soundtrack. That's what I need.
That would be good. I
That's
mean,
what
if they could, if I could just like, I haven't looked at it yet, but if I could just put on like soundtrack for like Super Mario 3, or even 2,
yeah.
I would put that on as background music.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good background music on this.
Okay.
yeah. It's nice that there's also a lot of mainstream and deep cuts for the people who played it. A lot of those games when they were younger, or just looking to explore what type of Nintendo library music library there is.
True.
All right, so to the big part of my news part this week, we I did a little snooping around thanks to my brother, who suggested that skill-based damage is in Black Ops 6.
Okay.
If you guys don't know what that is, it adjusts weapon damage according to player skill. And it's a rumor that's been going around, and especially with Black Ops 6, this tends to be the biggest thing that they keep talking about because during the era of Skylanders, Activision was working on a patent that would dynamically adjust a puzzle to someone's skill. So they're saying that this patent has now been kind of used to tune into like player level, and that's why, you know, a pro player can get killed by a noob because their weapons are doing more damage than
Okay.
yours or I's are. It's fairly nothing. It's being rumored around because a lot of people are talking about it, but it feels like it's fairly disproven on the internet that that is not actually the thing. More of this has to deal with server issues that have been
Yeah.
happening with COD for a very long time when it
Mm.
comes to inconsistent and inaccurate hit registration and tick rate, which is a form of internet. If you guys will, it's very nitty and gritty if people really want to
Right.
talk about it. But in your guys' time of playing multiplayer, have you ever experienced this? Do you think this is a real thing or not?
I haven't noticed it,
I haven't
and
either.
at risk of being like the old man playing Call of Duty, I feel like there's a rise in cheating quite a bit on this one. Maybe I'm just being overly sensitive, but I feel like I've been reporting a lot of people that seem very blatant with cheating, and I maybe not. Maybe I'm just like, like throwing my fist at the sky because I'm older and I'm not as good at Call of Duty as I used to be. But like, I pretty much stopped playing it already because I was just getting so frustrated.
And like, it's funny you say that because I don't know if I've been desensitized to cheating behavior. I mean, in the in order to just fuel the itch of playing Call of Duty, my wife and I have been playing like Rogue Company and other games that are seem to be more susceptible to cheating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Rogue Company, they just gave up on, so people are just doing what they will. But I've seen some, but not enough to make me want to stop.
Okay.
At this moment, I haven't reported nearly as many people as I have in that. And I mean, X Defiant, no offense to players who play X Defiant, but I was getting mowed in that game to the point where I thought that more people were cheating than. But anyway,
Fair.
I don't know. That's an interesting take.
And I know everybody's like, when a new Call of Duty comes out, all the sweats, as they're called, are getting their camos, so everybody's on, just sweating their balls off. And maybe that's part of it. Like, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to play. But like, I've been playing it like every night, and I like halfway through this past week, I was just like, you know what?
There's better things.
I have better use of my time than to sit here and get angry every night
Hmm.
playing this game that has not changed. I'm just gonna move on.
I definitely get the most angry at
Yeah.
Call of Duty.
Oh yeah.
I got pretty angry at college football this oh, the memories, but Call of Duty, that I felt right at home in my anger and frustration.
True.
But that's all I had for news. How about you guys go into your stuff?
Sure. First, I have something that made me very excited. Barry, this may make you excited as well. I don't know if you've ever saw. It's not a game that's out over here yet, but overseas, Disney Music Parade.
I did see this.
Yes, it has been rated. Looks like it's coming over here. I'm so excited. Kind of like a little bit like the Final Fantasy rhythm game, but with Disney. Dude, I am all over that. Give me more rhythm games. We do not have enough of them. I'll buy it day one.
Yeah, so will I.
Is it going to be like one of your games of the year again, do you think?
Maybe it's a possibility. If anybody puts rhythm games on their top list, it's usually me.
It is. Yep.
It's what is it coming out? What is it out for? Just the
It's not out over here. I think it's out in Japan, I believe.
Yes.
Yep. Right now, which is funny because you think if anywhere it would be over here first, but I don't know. I'm just a sucker for those games. Getting to listen to all those songs again, just like the Final Fantasy one, I will just like immediately be there. So
right.
It looks like that's coming over, hopefully soon. Perfect Dark, yeah, the new Perfect Dark game has a new creative director, Brian Horton. I just wanted to point that out because he left the Wolverine game to go over to Perfect Dark. What is going on over there with Spider-Man and Wolverine right now?
Craig, I don't know. I had the same story on my list too, and I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, what is like I'm excited. It's weird because it's like if you rooted for two sports teams, like, and a good player went from one to the other. Because I'm excited for Perfect Dark to get that type of creative direction, but not at the expense of Marvel Wolverine losing theirs.
Right.
You know, like that was one half of the team that was on Rift Apart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure had a hand in Spider-Man 2 as well.
Yeah.
Or the hand in Spider-Man 2. So like I kind of want that to continue with a superhero, you know.
Right.
So
right. Yeah, it seems like a lot of superhero games right now having issues, like Wolverine, Spider-Man 2 getting story DLC cut, Blade. Who knows what's going on with the Blade game anymore? So yeah, there's just a lot going on. I'm still fairly excited for a Wolverine game. I think I'd rather have a Wolverine game than Perfect Dark.
A Wolverine game in 2024 on a like advanced type of machinery like we do now in terms of games. I'm super excited. I've played some Wolverine or games with Wolverine in it back in the day, so like I'm excited to see. There have been.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it's gonna feel. Just like when was that Logan that got rated R, and we all just rejoiced at a rated R Wolverine. That's how this is gonna feel. The same thing, but like with video games.
I assume this Wolverine is gonna be like a teen rated game though. Aren't they all?
Probably. Yeah. Man, most likely.
Yeah, which would be kind of a bummer, but I'll still be excited. I'll still play it. And then the last thing I had, I know Barry, you had this kind of written down as well, but just the Dragon Age controversy going around. I know Barry, I don't want to like save getting into it for games played for you, but
yeah, no, you're good. Go ahead.
I only bring it up because I was talking to my wife and I was telling her that I'm probably going to go buy it just to kind of support, just because the hate that's been going around. Not a rant, but first and foremost, as far as like the created character goes, people taking issues with being able to give your created character like top scars, which I think is very cool. Number one, if you have a problem with that, it wasn't put in there for you, and you don't have to put it on your character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like at the end of the day, like I don't know, has any other game ever done that? I feel like there may have been something. Maybe
if
not.
there are it's lesser known games.
Right.
That is for sure.
There's nothing wrong with adding more accessibility to gaming and ways for people to feel like, hey, that looks like something that looks like me, you know?
Agreed.
So the fact that it's in there, again, just like we've said a million times with games that have issues, people having issues with games, like the they, them, and that kind of stuff. You don't have to use it. So don't.
Right.
You can play the game and still be a he or she, or if you want to, doesn't matter. But it's put in there for a reason, and I'm glad they did. And then also
Right.
there is a character as well that's been kind of getting some hate. I think hate's probably the right word, right?
It is
Some
hate.
quest lines. I even watched like some of the videos because people are like, "Oh, this is cringy." I watched specifically the one where they misgendered somebody, so they did like 10 push-ups in like a cutscene, and they're like, "Oh, this is so cringy." And I'm like, I mean, again, it's representation, so like I can appreciate what they're
Right.
doing there. But it just makes me want to go out and buy the game, and it's also seems to be reviewing pretty well. So it seems like a decent game, and they're doing stuff that's different, which always makes me want to put my money down to help support. Because I was not planning on buying this game at all. I don't know about you guys, but
I mean, you make a valid point as a way to support that maybe purchasing is the right way now, you know, like.
But it is also EA at the end of the day, so.
Yeah.
Which makes it kind of even more surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Agreed. Yeah. The last company you would expect. But good for them for putting that stuff in there and sticking to it. But that was the last thing I had there.
All right. Well, I only have one additional story. Recently on the Xbox 2-in-1 podcast, a Ubisoft insider, Tom Henderson, was quoted that essentially Ubisoft has a very strong lineup coming up. Now, that's not necessarily something that people who have been following, you know, video games, it's going to be new to. You know, we got Far Cry 7 out, the confirmed Rayman game, new Ghost Recon, all that. But the one thing that struck me is that he also included a slew of Assassin's Creed games that should be on the lineup, meaning that what he's thinking is that there's going to be a new Assassin's Creed entry every 6 months for the next 10 years. And I almost threw up.
That's not a thing. There's no way.
Every 6 months.
For those of you at home, I don't think that's true. I'm sure everybody on this podcast doesn't necessarily think it's true, but it's still
That's
funny
hilarious.
to kind of
That
see
is
in writing every 6 months.
Imagine a new Assassin's Creed every 6 months.
And each one's 100 hours. Good luck.
Right?
No, thank you.
I'll tell you what, if it happens though, I mean, Craig, you've been telling us to get that Ubisoft subscription thing for years now. That would be some value to that.
It really would, honestly. They need to release more games so that thing has value. Yeah. Man, there is zero value in that thing.
I'll tell you what, I'm probably going to get that for Far Cry 7 now that I'm thinking about it.
Same.
I spend money on Far Cry and then I get 60 hours in and I don't beat it. So I should probably just get the subscription.
Spend the $15 or whatever and play it for a month. Yep.
All right. So this week I had given some homework to my fellow podcasters here.
Yep.
This kind of came up because of an IGN review that mentioned that Dragon Age Veilguard's final mission was on par with the fun of Suicide Mission from Mass Effect 2. I kind of took that moment, and it's very high praise if I'd ask you, because that mission is in my top 5. But I had the guys kind of go over their gaming memories, if you will, and to recollect top 5 or 7, 8-ish, 9-ish moments in gaming from like our lives so far.
Yes.
So why don't we each say one, and then we'll just continue going down the path here.
Are we just should we just do no particular order because of
I'm not. Yeah, I didn't rank mine.
I have a honorable mention. I'll start with that. But if you have an honorable mentions or anything, you can start with those. Whatever you want to do.
I mean, I'll start. Honorable mention for me is just the no Russian mission, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It was recently brought up, obviously with the new Call of Duties coming out, and I remember playing that and not sure what the heck was going on or what to do, especially as a break in the action that you had on the missions that you were already doing, and you starting off very calmly in that mall, or was it a mall or
airport?
Airport, sorry, airport, and calmly walking through that and making the decision that young of an age, well, younger than I am now, of
Yeah,
like
what was your decision? Did you start shooting?
I
Calling you out.
I mean, I did, and then I stopped because I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
everybody else was shooting, so I but I did stop. I did stop. I don't know how much hate I'm gonna get for that, but I didn't fire the whole time, so to speak. So
Yeah. That was a big moment. It was hyped up before it released too, I remember.
Yeah.
yeah,
I put
yeah,
it
it's an honorable mention.
as my honorable mention just because it gets mentioned so many times, but I can't not put it on the list. Was Aerith's death in Final Fantasy VII. Sorry if spoilers for
Huge moment.
I don't know.
That's on mine. It's on mine.
Yeah, it gets mentioned a lot, and I didn't like. I was trying to find stuff that maybe doesn't get mentioned as much, but that was such a huge moment. And for me as a kid, it was what you would run to school and talk to your friends about. Like, oh my god, Aerith died, and then there was also the rumors that you could save her if you did certain things in the game, which was not true. But that always circulated around us. It was just an interesting time because you couldn't go look it up on the internet, right? It was just kind of you experienced it and your friends talked about it. So it was a big moment in gaming.
Right.
So I had that one on my board. So I'm gonna put my honorable mention as the Last of Us 1, the hospital
Okay.
portion.
Yeah.
It's one of those things again that's kind of this moral ambiguity, but I was all for saving Ellie.
Same.
Spoilers, I guess. And I mowed them all down without any
Mhm.
sort of remorse. I didn't care. I was just trying to save baby girl. I was just trying to save Ellie.
Yep.
Barry, I feel like I'm having a flashback to when we were discussing the Last of Us TV show and our thoughts on the hospital scene from the TV show. I'm not sure. I don't want to directly quote you, but I feel like there was the same level of energy when you were describing. You were like, "Hey, in the game, where's Ellie?
Yep.
Where's
Yeah.
Ellie?"
Yep.
Yeah.
Nobody gets out alive.
Yeah.
No,
I would have
that was
burned. I
a
would have
big
burned
part.
down that hospital if I had to. I would have burned it all to the ground.
That was a
Same.
big part.
Talk about like power hungry though, man. They made it so good. Like that,
Right.
that mission was just very well done.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Are we just doing a rotation, I guess?
Yeah, that's
Or-
what,
go
that's what
for
I was
it.
trying to do. Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'll this would probably be my 5 if I was to rank my 5, but I'm gonna put the emergence of the flood in Halo. I looked up the mission. The mission specifically is mission 343. Again, nostalgia. I was not ready for that mission. I even have bullet points here. Not ready for the moment, with a completely different threat than what was shown in the game. Kind of not like no Russian, but like in the shock value for me, because you were used to kind of just firing your gun at enemies that were firing back at you. And then you have this very creepy mission that kind of breaks things up. It takes everything into a completely different turn, and these things start emerging. And I was pretty young and more susceptible to jump scares, and I was not ready because like they were coming at you. That's what the flood does. And I don't know, that kind of shifted the gameplay for me. At still, I think at a time frame where you could do that to a game player like that. So that was my 5th.
Yeah.
It's just that introduction of that antagonist.
And just the sheer volume of them on the screen. Like it
Right.
was just, and you're running out of ammo and you're running away, and it's
Yep.
just, oh my god. Yep. That's a good one. I did not have that on there, but I probably should have.
My dad has a distinct memory of me playing co-op with my friend and him hearing us from the room go, "Do you have any grenades left? All right, you go first. No, you go first." Like he has that memory and brings it up at least once every 2 years. So Dad, if you're watching, I know you do that.
All right. All right. So I know I've talked about this one a bunch, but Psycho Manus from Metal Gear Solid, the boss fight.
It's on my list.
My God, reading your memory card, having to switch your controller to controller port 2 so he couldn't read your mind. Yeah. Literally telling you what games you've played recently. It was just the most insane thing. That game has so many moments that are insane, and just kind of push the boundaries. I know we've talked about it a bunch. Fourth wall breaking stuff. I think also you could kind of tie in, at least for me, was the Sniper Wolf fight as well, was kind of mind blowing at the time for me.
It
But
was.
yeah, Psycho Mantis was just another level still to this day.
Yeah, it's impressionable. It came out at the right time. No internet. You couldn't
Yep.
look it up. So you had your buddy tell you at school the next day,
Plug
or
it into port 2.
yeah, you figured it
Yep.
out yourself, or you had a gaming magazine in time delivered to you so that you
Yep.
could have that secret. Those were the ways.
Yep.
So that's on my list too, Craig. That was the first one I thought of, actually.
Yeah, me too.
Speaking of Metal Gear Solid, for
Okay.
me, it's the ending of Metal Gear Solid 4, despite I had no idea what was going on.
You mean the hour and a half cutscene?
The hour and a half cutscene, like the fist fighting on a submarine, with it was all types of outrageous, and like that's what Hideo Kojima does, is like
Yep.
the outrageousness that is this game. And taking Snake through what is like 1,000-degree microwave, and you're just mashing the triangle button trying to get through. It's like, oh my god, like that was like pivotal gaming moment for me. Like that was definitely, for someone who didn't even understand Metal Gear Solid lore. I was
Yeah.
like, this is cool. This is what
Yeah.
gaming can do.
Yep.
Yeah, Hideo knows what he's doing, which is, I don't. He also confuses you at the same time, which is great. It's
Yeah.
just like a weird combo.
He does.
All right, Psycho Mantis. All right, so I have. Okay. So this one's big for me because I recently played it. I was one of the people that played BioShock in the last 5-10 years. So
Yep.
not when it originally came out. I'm going to still put on there just the entire "Would You Kindly" reveal at the end.
Yep.
Just that entire block. You could argue that art boss, like the one in the theater, is a pretty cool scene. I think that would be on maybe some people's list, but it's the Sixth Sense Fight Club reveal, kind of that
Yep.
that I think blows your mind. And for me, I think it's also on the list because I've been taught so much by media to just predict whether I'm watching a movie, a television show. I'm not the only one out there. We're taught to predict. Oh, this person's going to be the killer at the end. This person, da 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 da. So even with I think 2019 is when I played it for the first time. Maybe 2018. It was when I started dating my wife. For me to not understand that, and then at the end be like, but we're your friends. You were helping me through this the whole time. Like that's for me a huge moment. And helps solidify BioShock as a classic. Should be in the Smithsonian.
Should. That actually ties into I put down the ending of BioShock Infinite, and I guess that might be controversial to some, because
that is it for me too.
Yeah.
I have it.
I think it's just like, for whatever reason, I feel like Infinite gets a lot of hate. I love all 3 games. Even the second one, but the ending of Infinite and seeing all the lighthouses and just coming to the realization that there's so many different versions. And at the time, playing through that for the first time and being like, oh my God, they can make so many different games. They could do whatever they want. And then they just didn't. But then they didn't, which is kind of a letdown. But yeah, that was insane. Absolutely insane. Mind blowing.
Yeah, no, I had Infinite on there too for me. Next one for me, and I don't know if either of you are going to get this, probably not, but it is the Sora versus Ansem Riku in Kingdom Hearts 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I struggled with that fight as a kid, and I can't tell you how many times I heard, Haley Joel Osment, say, that's not true. Sometimes the heart may be weak, and sometimes it may even give in.
Yep. You have it memorized.
There's no way you're taking Kyrie's heart. Like, yeah, it was. Yeah, it's that whole fight scene, and then that last part was Ansem. But it was just like you're fighting your best friend. He's been taking he's been taken control of by the darkness, and it's a hard boss fight. And it's definitely like one of my smaller gaming memories where I was a kid and I was like, yeah, I finally beat it after my best friend beat me up 700 times. I couldn't beat it.
Right.
I'd almost tie in too, at least for me, was seeing Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts was just
Yeah.
mind
Right.
blowing
Oh, the Sephiroth battle. Yes.
because it's just out of nowhere, and you're like, "What? Okay." That was, to me, that was mind blowing at the time.
And and that was
I
also,
didn't even
yeah,
know
but
who he
yeah,
was.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
yeah, like it meant so much more to you. I just saw him and went, "Yo, this music slaps! Oh my god, he kills me every time."
yep,
And
yeah.
it even means more to you guys who
yeah.
played, and know where Sephiroth is from.
Yeah, they weren't doing mashups like they do now. Like, what was happening there? Like, that's what.
Yeah, on like a random like side thing that you don't even really have to do.
Right.
Crazy.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna go with a different one. This is also nostalgic for me. When I was younger, I played a lot of StarCraft, and in the StarCraft story mission campaign, whatever you want to call it, you have three essential beings fighting each other: the Terrans, the Zergs, and the Protoss. And there's a particular person on the Terran side that you spend a good amount of time with, and her name is Kerrigan. And there's a story mission where Kerrigan, who is a badass through and through, is betrayed by another person on the Terran squad and essentially left for dead. And you think she dies. And what actually happens is she gets manipulated, transformed, whatever you want to call it, by the Zerg, which are essentially like, for those of you who haven't played, they're like just kind of like a hive mind type of thing. They manipulate her into one of their own, and she ends up becoming the main antagonist of StarCraft for I think at least like the last half and then the second game. That moment was crazy because they didn't just kill off a human character, but while you're playing as the human Terran race, to see her get switched over to what is your main enemy just essentially because she was betrayed, and for her to eventually go on to, I mean, it's I guess it's not too it's been enough time that I could spoil it. She eventually destroys the hive mind of the Zerg and becomes her own like hive mind in a quest for domination. So that the weight of that was insane
To think StarCraft
for
had
me.
such an interesting campaign. I never
Right?
played it.
Me neither.
It was mind blowing. It was mind blowing,
Hmm.
and I don't know, like again, time frame. Who writes like that? At that time. So that was a pivotal moment for my gaming career.
I have, yeah. I'm gonna do the Death of Ghost, Modern Warfare 2. Betrayal and Death of Ghost, I guess.
Yeah.
That was. I'm still not 100% sure on how he's back. I guess it's a different universe. Is that what they went with
I don't
Modern
know.
Warfare? They just brought him
Maybe.
back anyway. But man, at the time that hit hard because we had spent some time with Ghost, and then just to kill him off like that was just unexpected. They had done some other things like dropping the nuke, and then the character you're playing as, who I don't even remember, dies. But man, nothing tops the Death of Ghost for me.
That's
In a shooter of all things, a multiplayer
right.
shooter.
Right.
That campaign did a lot of things right. Gillied
It did.
Up is probably another one on there
Yep.
that you could put in, just like the stress of that mission.
Yep.
But another one for me, and Craig, you're gonna know this one. The ending of Persona 5 Royal.
Mm-hmm.
The ending of that game with the DLC was just like this. It made it all the more like worth it and
It's him.
and emotional. It was one of those things where like you beat that game and it's like I've lost a part of my soul, or a part of
Right.
my soul is in this game now and it forever will be, kind of deal there. So for the ending of Persona 5 Royal, which I'm interested to see what my roommate thinks when he gets up to there because he's currently playing
Oh,
it.
he's playing? Dope.
So Yeah, I told him all the things he needs to do to get to the DLC, but he just really the ending of that game really sticks with me, uh and how much like that journey just kind of comes to an end
Yeah.
at the end of there. It really is beautiful in a lot of ways.
Yeah, Atlas can write a story. They don't know how to write a 5-hour story, but they can write
You can
they
write
can
it
write.
in 100.
Right.
True.
So this one, I wanted to put a recent one on here because I found out I was seeing that a lot of the things I was writing down were nostalgia based. And I'm gonna put the entire Ronnie the Witch side quest campaign from Elden Ring.
Okay, you're a consort of sorts.
Yes. Not a side quest that you necessarily have to do. I have been on this podcast saying that I think it's better than the actual Elden Ring storyline. But you have to do a couple of things to start it. It's like meeting her and making sure you go back to a specific location. But not only do I think it's better than the main quest, it takes essentially the entire game to beat and really kind of opens up the world for you. Another arguable thing is the underbelly of Elden Ring below the surface is quite beautiful and also terrifying at the same time. There are parts like the Lake of Rot, which is exactly what it sounds like, which is not the most traumatizing from software location, but rivals it. But it also has some of the most beautiful landscapes there as well. Um, when you're below, you actually can look up and see stars underground. It's weird. Anyway, I'm not going to go much into that. What I am going to go into is that side quest takes hours. I'm talking about 40, 50, 60, but it ends up leading you
Yeah,
to a bunch of different locations that you wouldn't think you would go to. And then you have a dramatic choice at the end, which you could either help her, there's other different things that you could do as well throughout the way. It introduces characters you probably wouldn't have met. And Elden Ring, there's so many things you can miss,
yeah,
but that length and the reward of it, because you do get a good reward for it too, is something that I've never seen. And I feel like, and this is the last thing I'll say, I'm not going to directly, I don't want Nintendo after us, but I feel like somebody over at that studio who was working on Tears of the Kingdom said we have to also include some type of underground area that is of the same caliber in terms of like content and story and such like that. So that's not my number one on my list, but that's the last one left that I have. That wasn't an honorable mention.
All right. I have the opening of God of War 3, Battling the Gods.
that's a good, that's a good one.
Yes.
Making your way up the mountain, and I don't remember who it was, but like putting your thumbs in their eyes.
Poseidon, it was
It was
Yeah.
Poseidon.
I
It
remember
was
that
it was it
very
was
Yeah.
Poseidon.
Like I distinctly remember like God of War 1 and 2 were such great games, but
Mhm.
something about God of War 3, the PS3, and like that intro hit, and you're like, oh my God, like this is like modern gaming here. And just wreaking havoc on the gods was just insane. I don't think we had really seen something that in your face, over the top violence like that, where it was just like, yeah,
Right.
this is over the top, but it was great. Yeah, that one will always stick with me.
Is that so that same part, because I have a vivid memory of that. Is that
Mhm.
where you're climbing up
Yes.
on Gaia's back?
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
my God.
Yep.
That is so good.
Makes me want to go back and play it again, honestly.
I know.
I
Oh
I
my
have I have
God.
that slow-mo image of Kratos like going through that water bubble, and on the other
Yep.
side you bring out Poseidon with you, and that's
Yep.
when he smacks his head against the rock. It's like that. That's like when games like got that cinematic.
Yep.
And you were like, this is awesome. Like, this is cool.
It was kind of downhill after that, because that was the quick time event like culmination, and then after that everybody's kind of like, there's too many quick time events, we don't like it
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
But
Right.
at that time, man, give me all those quick time events.
Right. Oh man. Oh,
Uh,
memories.
This is my top one for me, and it is the ending Z of Nier Automata.
Good one.
That yeah, that entire like game and that ending, and I don't know how much of a spoiler it is considering that the game has been released for almost 7 years now,
Mm-hmm.
but just like the sacrifice you have to make in order to do it, the sacrifice you make for others, and the like what a submersive way of like storytelling, and then it's also like the submersive like, oh, like this is what it cost.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Such
insane, but yeah,
such an insane game.
yeah,
It's an
that.
insane game. I love every second of it, though.
So
But
other
you
ones?
said I was gonna say, does that?
I had two
Yeah, I know
more.
you had
Did I
another
have
one.
more?
Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead,
dang.
Go
Greg.
ahead.
Okay. All right. So I have the white phosphorus from Spec Ops: The Line. I don't know if you guys have played Spec Ops. Barry has not, so I don't.
No, but I've heard a lot about Spec Ops: The Line.
Yeah, that is without like. I mean, it's been out for a long time, but I still don't want to spoil it if you haven't played it. But just making the choice in the game to drop phosphorus on this certain area, and the aftermath that comes with it is like that whole game is like a gut punch of emotion. It really is. And like when that game came out, everybody was like, this is just a generic third person shooter, but it was so much more than that. Um, I always tell people to play that game if you haven't. It's incredible, and that moment is absolutely incredible. And then the other one I had was Derailed from Uncharted 2. The train, climbing up the train when it's hanging off
Oh
the edge
yeah,
of.
Oh, that's
yeah.
wild. That was a wild part.
Another one that at the time, PlayStation 3 was just like, oh my God, the PlayStation is like insane with their, over the top cinematic like things. You had God of War and you had Uncharted 2 that were just like insane. But climbing up that train and it's like falling down was peak Nathan Drake for me. But yeah, those are the other two I had.
I noticed none of us put the baby from Resident Evil.
Probably should have, right?
I feel like that one's a little too recent. It'll be interesting to see if
Right.
that like sticks
Mm-hmm.
sticks
The
the test of
landing.
time. A lot of the ones that we mentioned have stuck the test of time so far.
Yep.
Right.
Like for me, it's and like these are a couple other fun ones that I had. Your first win in any battle royale game, you
Yep.
always remember that.
Yeah.
I remember my first win
Yeah.
in Fortnite and in Apex Legends. Like
Yep.
you, all
PUBG.
of
I
that
remember my
pain.
first PUBG win. Man.
That's a good one, Barry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I try. I come up with some good ones.
Yes.
Let's see here. The other one as well was I thought Tears of the Kingdom's ending was really good, especially after Breath of the Wild's really lackluster ending for me. Tears of the Kingdom definitely did it right there.
Yeah.
And just like a last one to mention was the ending of Ocarina of Time, or like
Yeah.
the finding out. Yeah. That whole building collapsing scene, the timers
Right.
going. You have no trouble getting out of the building. They give you plenty of time, but
Yeah.
as a kid, you're like, "Oh no, no!"
Oh no. Help.
Yeah,
Help.
you just start mashing the roll button like you did in Hyrule Field. Like, get me out of here.
True.
But
That's
yeah,
still one of my favorite games of all time. Ocarina.
please, if you guys are watching or listening, I'd love to hear or get emails about like your favorite moment in gaming that you can remember. Everyone is such different ages. There are going to be people who put, the beating Bowser in Super Mario or something like that. Like, I'd be interested to see the different ages of people who go, yeah, this was my favorite, and I was born at this time, or I'm this old, kind of deal. So
Yep.
I hope, especially the guy that comments on our videos that's from Australia. We really appreciate you
We would,
commenting
yeah.
and taking the time. Like, definitely let us know what and that just goes for everybody. Like, what are your favorite moments in gaming? If you can narrow it down to one, and why? I love reading that kind of stuff. It's nostalgia for everyone. But speaking of, I guess, nostalgia, let's go to games we played this week, where I have played Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster, and I got Dragon Age Veilguard.
All right.
Okay.
I finished the Black Ops campaign. I wanted to talk about that, and then I did play some Age of Mythology this week.
Oh, there we go.
I kept my
I like
promise.
that. I like that. My wife and I finished the casting of Frank Stone. You could tell by my eyes. We finished that game. We started and beat Thank Goodness You're Here.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about that briefly. We also started Silent Hill 2
Sweet.
as well. And I did do the beta for Monster Hunter, if that matters.
Okay.
Um,
Look at that. We did a good job this week, guys.
Yeah, we did.
right.
All right. Let me just talk quickly about the game that really no one cares about. I'm going to be completely honest, which is the Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster. That if you have the game already for PS4, you can spend $10 to get the remastered edition. First off, the opening movie is really strange. The opening cutscenes you'd think for games like, especially in remasters, you think would be like what gets fixed. Like there is extreme pop in. There's a lot of clipping of a lot of different artifacts in the opening cutscene. It was so strange. Mouth movements also. I didn't expect that in the opening cutscene. I then turned on New Game Plus, put in my previous save file, which you can do. It's very easy to do, and started up the game. Looks great. Like I'll be the first to admit, I put it on favorite performance. It has it on that high frame rate. It looks fantastic. It is still Horizon Zero Dawn. And what I'll say is, if you're interested in getting to the Horizon like time frame and getting into the lore in the game, I definitely say play the remaster. Like it is faithful, and it's kind of hard to say anything less considering it's not that old of a game. Sony has now done this with The Last of Us as well. But it's one of those games where it's like, okay, this remaster, I'm not sure if it was really needed, if we're being honest, but it does look nice. And some people can't play like old games. You know what I mean? Like they're so spoiled by today's standards that going back to last generation standards, they're like, ugh, yuck.
Yeah. Does the opening, is Aloy's head as a kid still too big, or did they fix
Oh,
it?
Oh boy.
her child
It's
like
awful.
her child like animation, it looks very, very I don't know what it is. It's weird. It's like crude almost.
Yeah.
I feel
That
like
always sticks out to me how bad that child like look was. Ugh.
yeah,
Right.
like Aloy's adult form, it looks fine. Like you get into like she becomes an adult, and you're like, okay, yeah, like this looks fine. This looks normal. But when she's a kid, it is very jarring, for whatever reason. And I hate the fact that like I'm critiquing the video game model of a child or a baby. To be
Yeah,
honest,
but it's so bad. They could
it
have
is
fixed
weird.
it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely strange. Yeah, I think
Okay.
I do think.
So they
That
didn't
still
fix it.
stands. No, I don't think they did.
Okay.
Craig. So they didn't fix it.
I mean, I would have bought it if they did. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
What do we want to do? Age of Mythology? I'm trying to go
Yeah.
like what's old. Okay. So I played some Age of Mythology this week. I think the short answer is I would still prefer to play Age of Empires over Age of Mythology, but I think it's because Age of Mythology is more of an emphasis on attacking, right? Kind of. Does that make sense? Like I feel like I spent more time in Age of Empires like building my base, right? And like building my settlers and all that kind of stuff. Whereas Age of Mythology is more of like almost like I don't want to say it's a MOBA, but kind of, right? Am I wrong? That's like the vibe I get with Age of Mythology. Not
Age
a bad
of
game.
Mythology is a slower. It is
Yeah.
a slower game. I'll admit that. Like there's a lot more concepts to it, especially with building favor, choosing your gods. Like there is absolutely more of a build up.
Yeah.
In Age of Mythology.
But definitely a good game. Like I enjoyed what I played. I just, as I was playing it, I was just like, I could just download Age of Empires 2 remastered off Game Pass and play that instead, which is what I did.
That's hilarious.
I don't know. I mean, you go to like what you grew up playing, right? When like games are, I was like, oh man, this just reminds me of Age of Empires. Yeah, I'm gonna go play that, or like Roller Coaster Tycoon or something. But yeah, So yeah, I would rather play Age of Empires, but I totally get where you have such a fondness for it because I can see the fun in it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do Casting of Frank Stone because that's technically an older game. It came out in
Sure.
September. If you like the Dead by Daylight universe, then I would say give it a try. It's the story is a little bit too choppy. I guess my final take on the game after beating it is there were a couple of times my wife and I looked at each other and we were wondering where the transition from this person being at this part of the mansion or the steel mill or whatever to being to this part. And the game jumps around in terms of story between past and present. So you have a group of characters in each area that you have to care about and help survive, so to speak. Um, you're not going to get too dedicated to any of them, which is something I think Until Dawn at least kind of help you do with some of the characters. But I would say wait for it to be 15 to $20 before you buy it.
Okay.
Now, to be fair, though, you haven't beaten that many games this year, and that was one of them.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yep. So it was enough to keep you playing.
Yeah, I would say what kept us playing. Here's what kept us playing.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little scope into my wife and I's world. Is we have that game, we have Silent Hill 2, we have the Until Dawn remake,
Yep.
and Alone in the Dark is Collecting Dust, which we're probably not going to play.
Mm-hmm.
In order for us to start Silent Hill 2, we had to first beat Frank Stone because we didn't want to have also collective games that we haven't beaten together because
Sure.
my wife knows my problem with not beating games myself.
No, I totally get it. We all do the same thing.
I need that,
Yeah.
to be honest. I need someone to be like, you got to finish this game. Like, stop bouncing around.
I've been yelling at myself for that. That's why I keep going
Yeah.
back to like Ghost of Tsushima. I'm like, no, I have to finish it.
I will beat this.
Yeah. I'm glad you finished it though.
Yeah, it was nice to just kind of say that's done, take it off the PlayStation, that kind of thing. Yeah,
Right.
it felt good.
Okay. Fair.
I can get into Dragon Age.
Yeah, give it to
I know
me.
it's kind of the newest out of everything.
Do I buy it?
So as of right now, I do have to say this Dragon Age is off to a very, very good start for me. I do think the character creator is pretty deep. A lot of options, as you've mentioned, Craig, about, a lot of these games are all about self-insertion, really. So whether it's Mass Effect or, and especially BioWare in general, whether it's Mass Effect or Dragon Age, it's all about making your decisions in the game, how it reflects you, and the game tries to reflect those decisions. Now, like the one thing that I will say during the whole creative portion of things is that this feels more like a reboot of the Dragon Age franchise rather than a continuation. There really is no choices you can make from the latest game of Inquisition to this one. Even if you haven't played, you can go in there and make your own. It lets you create your own decisions, you romanced and things like that. But and some major decisions. But as far as I can tell, they really haven't made a difference in my playtime through the game, and I don't really think they will based off of reviews. So if you're looking for the Dragon Age series that has taken your decisions and continued to compound them over and over again through multiple games, I don't think you're going to get that with this. I really feel like this tries to be a fresh start for BioWare. And while it lacks that option of past decisions and being made in your games, the combat is fun. The game looks good. On top of that, I still need to go through more of the game as well. But that introductory mission, I think, does more than enough to maybe get you in, seeing what's going on. I actually find the writing pretty good, pretty witty, to be honest.
Okay.
Okay.
When you respond in sarcasm, the other characters respond in sarcasm back to you occasionally. And I kind of like that. A lot of the times if you decide to pick the sarcastic portion, it feels like the character's like, oh, why'd you say that about me? Or they take it the wrong way. Like,
Right.
there's a level of writing in here where sarcasm understands more sarcasm. And I think you guys will find that early on that's something there. I still need to get a hold of more about what the combat and what you can do is. You pick between 3 classes: mage, warrior, and rogue, and then there is a huge tree on that
Okay.
it's also based on like your kind of person that you decide that you are. You pick. It's not like your character gets just dropped into the game with no memory of what's going on or anything like that. Like your character has apparently been with this group and has been hired by this group for a bit of time, and you have and you have work that they base you off of, and then from there they continue to go. But you'll always be known as the Rook. That's what they call you here. So, like overall, I am fairly impressed by this game. I've been having fun with the combat. I think it looks good. I think the voice performances and the characters are fun. And in a game where, like, especially in Mass Effect, you just care about your friends. You just, like, you learn to really grow with these friends, much like in the Persona series. You grow to care about the people you're with and you want them to succeed and help them make these decisions in their lives. And so far, like, the game does a really good job of giving you feedback. When you make a decision, the other character approves and the other character disapproves. And it shows you that. It's not something that take an example for Mass Effect 2. Like, it didn't outwardly tell you that. Like, if you said something wrong to Miranda, you missed out on her, you missed out on the romance scene, for example, with Miranda. And
You
that's,
don't want to miss
Right.
out on that.
yeah, you don't.
No.
Yeah. Ass Effect, baby.
Yeah.
That's what that game was.
It really was. Well done.
But I just like the fact that it gives you that feedback and like what's happening, and it kind of gives you a little, instead of Mass Effect's, like, for example, Paragon and Renegade options, there is like a joking one, a caring, like it shows you the feel that you're trying to give with your emotions and the responses you give, because sometimes you don't say, like, if they didn't tell you that, it wouldn't come off how you'd say it, kind of deal there.
Okay.
Continue to do your research if you want. I've been really enjoying this game. It's, I kind of wanted to get impressions on it because I still need to beat episode, I guess, for Persona 3, but I am very much considering, like, okay, this is the next game I'm going to next, because it's caught my attention and it's a lot of fun.
Is there a demo?
No. This is a prime candidate for Black Friday sales.
If it goes on Black Friday, we have to see.
Yeah.
It's a fairly new enough game. Maybe you get it. Maybe you can save $10 or something. But
yeah, maybe it's like 50.
Yeah, keep that in mind when looking for it. But it's fun. Okay, I enjoy this game.
I do want to play it.
You guys would too.
Okay. I do want to play it too. And I am getting to the end of Metaphor, so
I was going to ask if you finished that or not.
21 game days left, but it's definitely at the end. They definitely make it look like the end.
Okay.
So
you're at the end times.
Oh yeah.
Give me that Silent Hill. I've been waiting for you to.
Oh
play
yeah,
Silent Hill.
yeah. Silent Hill 2, first impressions. I'm gonna mimic a lot of what Craig said. They definitely did do a good job nailing the scene. I don't know how they ended up at this product after what we had seen from what the developers were revealing, but there's definitely that air. One of the things I'm sad about is I'm not sad that my wife and I are playing it together, but they do recommend at the beginning to have headphones on, and I know exactly why.
Yep.
I know exactly why. One of Silent Hill's things that it does best is creating the ambiance to make you think something is there or will be there. And that is exactly what it's doing. Walking down the streets of that area and breaking out windows, trying to find loot, and just that first time you run into, it's not going to be the same impression, which maybe should have been on our honorable list of when you run into your first zombie in the original Resident Evil game. It's not like that, but it has its own entrance. That's very nice. And we love it so far. We love it. It's still relatively early. I'm talking about like we're in the first, I forget what the first apartment complex is called.
Okay.
But we're working our way through that. Like we threw it on at like an 11 p.m. thing. We wanted to get an hour in and get like our first scope on it. But I like what's there.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear as you guys get farther along in the game, and it just like it does a good job of just consistently ramping up more and more as you go. And it never really lets off. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Right.
Which is exactly what you want, right? Whereas Resident Evil kind of gives you a little bit of breaks. Silent Hill doesn't really do that.
Yeah. I mean,
Which
I
is
don't even
cool.
have a handgun yet, so
Yeah.
everything is like kill it.
Yeah.
You're essentially
And
it's
stomp on it 5 times and make sure
Yeah,
it's dead.
I,
yeah, beat it with the bat.
Yep. Um, Speaking of horror, I gotta talk about Black Ops campaign. Um, so first of all, step in the right direction for Call of Duty. I'm glad that we have an actual campaign again. I even enjoyed going back to the central hub, like the house, and talking to the characters and stuff. But man, when you get near the end of the game, they really lean into horror elements. It was like specifically like not like the last mission, but right before the last mission. This is downright terrifying. I was like, am I playing Call of
mm,
Duty or am I playing Resident Evil right now? Because what is
Oh, okay.
happening? Very interesting choice, but I think it works. There's specifically 2 levels that kind of lean more into that. The one I talked about before, where they have a whole separate level that's like zombies. It just drops you in a
mm,
map, and there's like you have to go find 4 key cards, and it's just a zombie level. But the ending of the game and the elements they use to kind of mess with you a little bit was done extremely well. I like the story. Even like I know Barry, you talked about like the spy missions and different ways to do things work out so well. I really enjoyed there's a mission where there's like 4 different ways to go, but they're like Bill Clinton's on the stage. It's so cool to me as like
oh wow.
Senator Bill Clinton. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool thing. I'm glad they got back to they listened and were like, hey, that last campaign was garbage. Let's make sure we put out a decent campaign this time, and they did.
A
So
stain on what Call of Duty campaign should be is what that campaign
it
was.
was
No.
terrible.
Infinity Ward. Just sorry. Now I'm on a rant. Infinity
Yep,
Ward. If you're listening to this podcast, you need to completely just forget that you ever did that campaign and do
yep.
service to what Modern Warfare 2's campaign was, because that
I
was
100% agree.
like the fact that it's a cheap rendition of Warzone with a couple of dropping in and doing in parts of a Warzone map. It's just stupid. It is
Yep,
absolutely ridiculous, and it's one of the worst campaigns and one of the worst ways you could honor what a campaign for what that campaign was to a lot of Call of Duty
get
players.
him,
Just
get him,
spit in my
Testify.
face,
get him.
spit
Testify.
in, spit in my face, and in a
Let him
ton of other
cook.
gamers' face
Yep.
and rant.
Yeah, I I would like to know your thoughts, Barry, if you play the whole campaign
I'm
for
going
Black
to.
Ops. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you do, make sure and let me know when you play like the ending how you feel about that one. I just thought it was done extremely well. But overall, multiplayer I'm not too keen on right now. Maybe it'll calm down. It plays fine. I'm just not really that happy with the maps. But single player, well done. I'll give you
All
the
right.
chef's kiss.
Nice. Should I go into beta or
Yeah.
thank goodness you're here? Oh, okay. Um, let's do beta.
Okay.
Monster Hunter beta. I think for the PlayStation ends, Barry. I was taking what you spoke about on whether to get it on like for like computer or get it on console. I just did the at least the beta on console, so I might end up getting it on that. Well, I will get it on that. It's more Monster Hunter. It would take too long to explain exactly what Monster Hunter is. What I will tell you is that it looks darn good. That's what I'm pretty excited for, is to have the algorithm of Monster Hunter that works so well, but on this gen, created for this gen of consoles and of gaming in general. It looks really really good. They allow you to do the open mission, which I've never really had Monster Hunter for its story. I haven't really anybody that I know that has played Monster Hunter hasn't said, "Wow, that story was sick, man." That's not what you're really in there for. You're in there to slay monsters, take their parts, create craft better things to slay more monsters, and it looks like it's going to be just that. They had this tutorial mission, and then you go out on a hunt for what would be a lower end, eventually lower end monster down the road when you start buffing up with your armor and such. But it looks really nice. It took me about, I think, an hour and a half to do everything. So it's a nice little playthrough. They'll give you something special for when you actually have the game if you finish it. But it looks fantastic. Some of the weather system things that are going down, I think, are going to be very interesting for the game. Monster Hunter already has a lot going on screen while you're playing. Your Palico is talking to you like consistently, like all the time, and then there's different things that you have to do to make sure that you don't die. So the weather systems like kind of trapping monsters, because I was fighting something on like on a dune. Number one, because it was the alpha monster, I had to shoot a dung thing at it in order to just make sure that its herd left. And then while I was fighting it, it kept getting stuck in after certain attacks in the sand, allowing more hits. So I
Okay.
think that's going to be a cool thing that we're going to experience. Also, the map was kind of 3D.
I saw that. Yeah.
Like that. Like that a lot. So I think for people like myself or Barry or anybody else out there who's played one or more Monster Hunters, there's going to be some innovative things that you're going to like in this one. I say, I'm not going to tell anybody at home to pre-order it, but I think you're going to want to get it if you've played Monster Hunter, most definitely. I'll just do thank goodness you're here as well. Thank goodness you're here.
That's actually the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, great. Get it. Again, you at home, I never want to forcibly tell our listeners to do anything in particular. I'm particularly telling my two podcast mates here, buy this thing and play it immediately. It's fantastic.
Okay.
It is Rick and Morty. Let me take out Rick and Morty. It is more Ren and Stimpy humor combined with like a wittiness that you would see maybe in like an Arrested Development or 30 Rock writing. So like picture that type of crude humor combined with like witty humor from both of those sides combined. The only gripe, the game is about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So with a
but I
$20
could say that I
price
beat a
tag,
game. I could say I beat a game.
You could.
In that time. Yeah.
this game is fantastic.
It's only $16 on
Oh,
Steam.
get it.
Okay, yeah.
Get it. It is so funny. It is so funny. The on-screen things that you experience while you're traveling, it has a story. You're like a salesman, you work for a company or whatever. He sends you to this town in like England. And you end up just kind of like, this doesn't ruin it, but you do like odd jobs for the people there. That's part of the story, kind of like while you're waiting to talk to the mayor of the town, you kind of just explore the town. There are so many characters that have different personalities that ask you to do things for them, and it's so funny. Things you'll notice, like when you play this game, really look at the scenery, because there's like this really interestingly named shop here that's funny, or you'll notice a villager doing something that's odd. That's what this game is about. There is a reason why it is not only rated so high, but has been talked about so frequently.
Yeah.
In its launch,
Isn't
and
it
it's
in
made
Game
by
of the Year discussions? I thought it
I
might
think
be.
I think some.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's in my list. I need to write down my list because we're getting to that time too, and figure out where it is. But it is somewhere, and it is created by a 2-person team.
Okay.
So
yeah, $16 is a steal.
I would say buy it. You'll say thank goodness I bought it.
it.
That'll be
And fair.
Movies and TV shows this week. For me, the lone movie is Venom Last Dance.
I watched Joker.
Okay.
And I watched Don't Move.
Oh, interested to hear what you think about Don't Move. I did not watch a new flick this week, unfortunately, but I did start the television series Grotesquerie.
Oh yeah.
So I have some early thoughts.
Yeah,
on
but you're
that.
gonna beat Metaphor next week, and that's a movie in itself.
That's true.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I guess technically Agatha ended this week, so I did watch all of that. But
okay,
that's fair.
All right. I want to hear about Joker first. I have to know
please.
about this train wreck.
Oh, it's straight garbage.
Okay, cool.
It's very obvious. I know it's been said a lot, but the director kind of was upset that people were idolizing the Joker character, and it's very obvious that he made this movie to make you hate the Joker. Um, it's very intentional, but it's just like it's too long. It's boring. The music is not great. I don't the underutilized Lady Gaga. It's just
Really?
bad. Yeah, it's just bad. You could do so many cool things, and like there's hints of it, like, oh, there's Harvey Dent on the TV, or like you could have done like show me like Bruce Wayne or Batman, like one time. You don't even have to show his face, just like show his silhouette or something.
Right.
Like do something with Arkham. He's in Arkham, like do something with it, but it's just not. It's just bad, man. It's so forgettable and terrible. The first one was great. I really liked the first one a lot. It was just something
I did
different.
too.
Yeah, you don't need to watch this one. I'm gonna pretend like this one never happened. And
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Is I'm just gonna pretend this didn't happen
yeah, just
either.
don't even waste your time. It's not worth it.
That's sad to hear because
Yeah.
I don't know if you like. I jumped at the utilizing Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
I used to love Lady Gaga when I was like those early albums that
Yeah.
she had, and I've
She's
always
good
liked
in
her.
it.
Yeah,
They just don't
and I
use her
and I
enough.
like her acting career. So like hearing her
Mhm.
underutilized kind of sucks.
Yeah.
You know,
Kind of a bummer, but whatever. I expected it to be bad, but thought maybe maybe it'll be a little different watching it at home. No, it still sucks.
nah, it still sucks.
Venom Last
Yeah.
Dance probably doesn't suck as much as Joker, but still is pretty
Okay.
Mm,
Just
It's
like
how
the
I
other
feel
two.
about it. Well, like so, looking at the trilogy as a whole, I actually really liked 2 more than I liked 1, and then third probably is my least favorite of the
Oof.
3.
okay.
Um, for me, like this movie feels like it was just kind of a cash grab in some ways. Where how people got excited and should I spoil this movie? I
Go
don't
for
think
it.
people care,
Go
right?
for it. People do not care.
So
Spoiler alert, just so y'all
Yeah.
know.
yeah. So here's the thing: Spider-Man 2 did this really cool thing with bringing in other symbiotes,
Mhm.
and you didn't expect it, and you got some really cool symbiotes that you got to see from in Spider-Man 2, the video game.
Yep.
In Venom, they now have introduced. Okay, here are the other symbiotes. Do we care about any of these symbiotes? Not really. There's not really a moment to get to know these symbiotes and who they are and why they're fighting. Like, yes, the big terror is this Null, but Null is not used.
Uh,
He is just the big bad in this movie is Null's creatures that he sent to Earth to find the Codex.
The Codex.
In this and remind you, so the Codex only appears when Venom and Eddie are both fully fused. So when it's like when he's in Venom mode, like the full Venom suit thing. And the movie just conveniently will just sometimes go, you know what? Venom's gonna do Venom just because he's Venom. So it's one of those things where there's a funny part in the movie where Eddie is stuck to the side of an airplane and he is hanging on outside of the airplane because Venom has attached itself to it. And he fully transforms once, and this is not a joke. He's in the air, moving at a plane speed, high up in the air. The creature that's hunting them jumps like a missile, and within 5 seconds is at the plane. Like there's no it's convenient for the sake of the monster is this alien predator that can jump 5,000 feet in the air and land on this plane without any issues going into it. The alien slash, like, I think it's a xenomorph or xenophage is what they called it. I can't remember, to be honest. The only cool thing, I thought its design was cool. Like when it eats people, it like shreds the blood out the back.
Hmm.
And I thought that was a really
oh,
cool,
okay.
I thought that was a really cool touch to this thing to make it a bit more freakier. But
Hmm.
like Venom's whole thing, this movie is like, okay, I'm gonna take possession of that fish and swim to Eddie, or I'm gonna take possession of this horse, as we've seen Venom horse already,
In the
and
commercial, yeah.
go. But like for example, the same actor that does Dr. Connors in Amazing Spider-Man 2 is in this movie. There's no link. There's no attempt to make a link. There's no excitement for people to get. Now, in the end, and a lot of this movie just is a lot of mush at the beginning to the middle to almost the end. At the end of this movie, Venom sacrifices himself so that Eddie can live, and then the monsters stop hunting them. So Venom's death scene is actually kind of good. I can't help but be like, okay, like he's doing this to save other people, and it's like really this torturous thing. I'm gonna let you know there is no hope that this Venom goes and interacts with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Like they killed that in a way, and I think in the end this movie was made to end this Venom thing, so that way they can introduce Venom in to Spider-Man's next thing.
Yeah.
That way they have a better big bad, or whoever needs someone has someone to face or team up with, sort of deal there. The movie is very and
Wait, you have to tell me about the in memoriam though at the end of the movie that I keep hearing about. Like with music, with a certain song playing behind it. Was that in there? I keep hearing about like they did it at the end. You know how like the end of Deadpool and Wolverine, they have like
give me a
that
second.
they have like that moment where they're showing like Ryan Reynolds'
The
Deadpool
cast.
character and all the cast through the years. I heard they did the same thing with this, but it was just kind of like the music choice is very weird, and it was just like, who cares? Like because in all honesty, like why were 3 of these movies made? I just don't understand. The first one did not do well. The second one did not do well, but they just kept making them for some reason.
Yeah, I think it says something, Craig. If I'm being
That
honest,
you don't
like,
remember?
I have no
Okay.
clue what you're talking about.
Okay. I keep seeing it online where people are like, "There's no way this is real," because like it seems so out of place that they like do an in memoriam for Eddie Brock.
Well, I don't think that like in the middle of the at the end of the movie there is this flashback sequence of moments of
maybe
Eddie
that's what they're talking about.
I think that's what it is, because it like they don't do the same thing at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine where they show kind of the outtakes of those previous things. No, it wasn't anything like that.
Okay.
But there is like a memoriam to Eddie and Venom, which I'll be the first one to admit it does nothing. Like this movie had this isn't a Marvel Avengers where everyone gets like these silhouette sign-off sort of deals here. It's again, it's a very meh movie with not a lot to remember. You'd think some cool action sequences, but this movie's pretty boring. The movie, more than half of the movie is just them trying to get to New York because, and guys, get this. So he is being hunted for the murder of a character in Venom 2. He's hiding in Mexico where he's safe. So for plot convenience, because he can't stand to live in Mexico anymore, he's moving to New York where he's still hunted, but he has dirt on some senator in New York. So the senator in New York's going to clear his name.
Yep.
Sick.
Works.
Couldn't have written it better myself.
Yep. I mean, you got to get him back somehow.
You could have stayed in Mexico. Like, we could have just ended it after Carnage.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's hilarious.
Wow,
but
man.
It like when you break down certain plot points and certain things about this movie, it's kind of like, why are we here? Really? Yeah. And we're here because for whatever reason, all you idiots decided Venom 1 was something you were going to go watch.
Right.
Fair. All right. Agatha, go watch that series. That series is incredibly well done on a minimal budget. Gives Agatha some redeeming qualities while also still keeping her as a horrible villain. I really, really enjoy that series a whole bunch. My whole family watched the whole thing together. We all loved every episode. Don't Move, which is on Netflix, was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Very basic concept. There is a lady in the woods who is going to kill herself, commit suicide, and a guy meets her and stops her, who turns out to be a serial killer. That's not a spoiler. He injects her with something that's going to paralyze her, and the whole movie is like she runs, but then it kicks in, and then the whole movie is her like slowly gaining her limbs back while he's, and trying to like wave people down and tell them that she needs help. It's just like the most basic premise in the world, but when it's done well, you can have a very enjoyable, like tight 90-minute movie. And I think they did an incredible job. Definitely worth watching. 100%. I forget her name. She's from Yellowstone. That's where I know her from. But she
Okay.
did an absolutely incredible job. So go check out Don't Move for sure.
I think we're gonna watch. I mean, you saying incredible
Yeah.
twice
Mhm.
in the
I thought it
review.
was, I just think it's
I
done really, really well.
like you don't throw that word around lightly. So
I like simple concepts done well. Like a
right.
movie can be simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just give me a good idea. But yeah.
Speaking of complicated, just early thoughts on Grotesquerie.
Yeah.
My wife and I saw the images like a lot of people did in the trailer and wanted this because it looks like essentially what would be a Seven-esque type of thriller starring Niecy Nash, who teams up with who's a cop or a detective, teams up with a nun to figure out what's going on with the killings. Now, we are about 4 or 5 episodes in. At this point in the series, it hit something that we don't quite understand. If you watch this show, unless we're idiots, we're struggling to understand what is in her head and what is real, because she is a professional drinker in this show. Like
Aren't we
polishing
all?
the bottle. She's drinking and driving. The force that she works on knows that she's a drinker. Everybody in her life knows that she's a drinker, and not many people are trying to help, but that's beside the point. What shines are some of the killings. I do not recommend this show for anybody who is not really into really elaborate or gross deaths, because the person in this show who is the killer, I don't know who is at this point in the show, in the show, is it's like Seven. It's as bad as like something like that, or
Hmm.
it's disgusting.
Okay.
Um
Say no
so
more. I'm in.
yeah, for that reason, if you like that kind of stuff, which my wife and I do enjoy a good murder,
Mm-hmm.
like that, I would say watch it. But there are points in the show that we're still trying to figure out. I understand by the 4th episode you may not know everything, but there are certain scenes that we look at each other and we're just kind of like, is she drunk and sleeping, or is this really happening? If you need anything else to watch it, Travis Kelce's in it. If you like Travis Kelce, or if you like to hate Travis Kelce, whatever side you're on at this moment, he is in this show.
Ooh,
He's
talk
not
about topical over
Yeah,
here.
he is.
yeah, he is, and he's not doing a bad job. It takes he's not in the first 2 episodes. He's in episode 3 is where he starts, for those of you who are looking for that right moment. The other reason why we did start to watch this is Ryan Murphy created it, and Ryan Murphy has a specific way of doing things. So he's done Glee, but he's done American Horror Story. So I don't know. We're gonna keep at it, but it's definitely watch it. If it's a good watch. And let us know if you're as confused as we are by episode 4, because that's where we're at. So
Fair.
but yeah, that's the only thing I watched this week.
Cool. All right. So that'll be the end of the podcast. We want to thank everybody for listening. If you are listening on your podcast listening platform of choice, please make sure to leave a star review, leave a thumbs up, leave a star rating. Let us know how we did, what you think you change. Just because we take criticism as well. We don't just take compliments here. If you're on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe and comment. As I mentioned below or before, I'd really love to hear other people's top 5 moments in gaming, or their top moment and why it was. I feel like for a lot of people, like, those moments define who we are as people a lot of the time, because they're games we played as a kid. But I want to thank everybody for the support that we always get. We appreciate it, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.
See ya.